Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, ladies. Hello, everyone.
Good to see you.
It's so good to be back with you, ladies, and with all of you. Yeah,
It's so good to be here
Feels
with
so
you.
good to have you back.
I
Absolutely.
know. We missed you.
I missed you guys too. I did. And thanks so much for your, good wishes and the cards and the gifts and the emails and the phone calls. They mean a lot and they meant a lot to me. It's been a tough month. I can't believe it's been a month. But yeah, so as you guys said, I did lose my father almost a month ago. So it's been a tough few weeks. And for those of you who have lost a parent or loved one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But with this support, with this village that I'm surrounded by virtually here and certainly in person, I am getting through it and my kids are getting through it. So anyway, so thank you for everything and helping me get through this tough time. But we are now back, Brand Rewind Live. I'm Denise Kegler. I'm coming to you from a warming up Boston, Massachusetts. We're getting there. It's not quite as warm as what Barika is probably going to tell us in just a second. My company is MDK Brand Management.
Hi, everyone. I'm Barika Phillips-Bell, and I'm with B3 Media Solutions, and I'm coming to you from a 84-degree weather in Los Angeles, California.
It's always summer there, right?
Right.
Okay.
I love it.
Sorry. Were you about to say something?
No, I said I love it.
Oh, you love it. I know. And I love it for you. I wish I were there with you. Okay. So hello, everyone. I'm Patia Abdurrazak. The name of my company is the Stylista Group. And I'm coming to you from a warming up Harlem as well. Today was 72 degrees.
See?
No coats today. We're getting there. We're getting there.
You're getting there.
Well, my name is Zoe Mitchell. I'm coming from balmy Toronto, the T dot. And I say balmy because I went for a run yesterday with shorts and a t-shirt and I was sweating. So it's 25 degrees here Celsius because we don't use Fahrenheit here. My company is Sharp Processes and I'm excited to be here with you all this evening. So thank you.
So gang's all here.
Yes.
So what we like to do at the beginning of the show is highlight any national recognition. And so today is International Nurses Day. Yay. Shout out to all the nurses around the world.
Thank you.
You guys do a great job. So thank you to all the nurses for the wonderful work you do for so many families, for so many individuals. So hats off to you guys. Also, as a reminder, to please sign up for the Brand Rewind newsletter at brandrewind.com. We do send out a newsletter every other Thursday. And we do have stories that don't necessarily duplicate what we're going to talk about during the live. We try to make it a point to talk about different stories. I think so far we've lived up to that.
Yeah, we have.
So sign up for Brand Rewind at brandrewind.com. You get the newsletter every other week. You get a reminder to join us here, Brand Rewind Live, with the link that you click and you show up here. Looking forward to sharing Brand Rewind with you guys, with the newsletter with you guys after you sign up. All right. So with that, and then also the last thing I'll mention is the chat. So you guys know this, but as a reminder, please do post your comments in the chat, your questions, and go into the chat and just say hi to us. And we will recognize you. We will make sure to say hi to you. If you say hi to us, we'll say hi back to you. All right. So let's kick us off. Tia, kick us off.
Yes. So today I'd like to shine the spotlight on what happened recently with the Supreme Court with the leak of the whole Roe versus Wade situation, right? So we talk a lot about branding and integrity on this show. And so, it's really unfortunate that it seems like the Supreme Court is lacking checks and balances and like security, because this is a very sensitive topic. And for information like this to be leaked before it was intended to be made public, it just makes me wonder, like, what exactly is going on there? Not only from an organizational standpoint, but the person who thought it was okay to do this. I mean, whether you agree with sensitive topics or not, if you're working someplace, I just feel like you should adhere to a certain level of ethics, especially when it comes to sensitive topics, because now, of course, everybody's in an uproar. We would really get into the discussion of what all of this could possibly mean. But, today, for the first time, they reconvened, the 9 judges, only the 9 judges, no staff members, no clerks, nobody else, just the 9 of them, because, of course, they are not really sure who did this and they don't want it to happen again. And God forbid the person who leaked the information would be part of this discussion today, then there would possibly be another leak. However, because this information was leaked, there are some brands who are with the information, and hopefully, we don't know if this is correct or not, are making moves to address any possible situations that may arise from what was leaked. And I know that Barika, you were taking a look around at brands that are doing some things, within the power of what they can do to ensure that, just in case this were to really happen, that they were supporting the women in their community. So did you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wanted to point out that even though we know that this is a leak and it's not something that is set in stone, a lot of brands have already come to the forefront to start making changes in benefits and policies for their employees. So brands like Apple and Citigroup, Salesforce, and Yelp already have made changes to their benefits just at the state level for those states that are going to try and strike down abortion rights. And I think it's really important that we look at the brands that are doing things and those that are staying quiet, that are not a part of the conversation, not necessarily that they have to say anything, but are making moves and strides to be a resource and provide something that needed healthcare that allow women to make a choice that they and cover the choice, because some women who are not able to afford an abortion, they are actually doing something about it and including those costs in their healthcare plans. Right. So I definitely applaud them for making those first steps, even on a leak. That right. Even on a leak, they're showing that they're standing with women making choices for their bodies. And I applaud them for doing that. And I hope that other companies will step in and step out and showcase the fact that they stand with their women employees and allow them to make choices for their bodies and help them with the cost of those things that are associated with that. I don't know.
I wanted to add in. Yeah, I wanted to add in because one thing I noticed, Levi Strauss, when they did their policy update, they made sure to cover part-time workers as well. So just wanted to give a kudos to that, because a lot of people forget that some of us don't have full benefits because of our staff in healthcare.
Yeah. So, right.
Yeah.
Something, Patia, you said about just the leak itself. I was listening to it when the story broke, and I remember saying to Daniel, how could this happen? It's the Supreme Court.
Right.
Yeah.
This should be a body, an organization where nothing
gets leaked. Yeah, I agree.
What does it say about the brand of the Supreme Court? Yes, but also, as we talked before the show, the people who work there, the people who have access to this sensitive, confidential, highly confidential information.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, where are the checks and balances? And this is why I think it's Justice John Roberts, right? Is he overseeing the investigation? I think it's Roberts who's overseeing the investigation. Why this has risen to the level of everyone, as you said, Patia, jumping in and trying to figure out how did this happen. It's scary on so many levels that a brand like this court would have something like this happen. It is actually really, really scary.
It is. Yeah. It is, absolutely. So what do you guys think? We would love to see what you think about this situation in the comments. So weigh in, please.
Yes, weigh in. And I do want to just say hi to folks here, Cheryl and Loriana. I hope I'm saying that right. And Aliana. Research. So yes. So someone said, who said they think you? Someone thank you. Someone said on purpose.
They're wondering if it was done on purpose.
If it was done on purpose.
I wondered the same thing because of the sensitivity of the topic and the amount of people. I mean, what, 52% of the population is women.
Right.
So I think part of the leak might have been literally like, this is big. And we can't risk, or they didn't trust in our leadership. So
I've heard that
volumes as well.
Yeah, but where does it, like, is it
Mhm.
a leak that will help or hurt? Like, what
Exactly.
was the true intention? Because you have to look at, like, now that everyone has it, like, women are mobilizing and different groups and allies are coming together to kind of fight. Because if it start, you know, first it's your body, then it's going to be gay marriage and all these other policies.
Mhm.
So brands are like, the fact that brands are even having a part in that speaks a lot to like where we are as a society.
Right.
And I really am just thinking that maybe this was done in an attempt to kind of like get people to like wake up and
Wake
like
up.
like wake up, honestly.
And
I think
see
that's a
what-
great point, though,
Yeah.
Barika, because if you think about it too, employees, if we're talking about brands and companies especially, 70% of employees are millennials now. They're not quiet.
They are
They're
not.
not quiet.
Good point. Yeah.
You need
That's
to
a good
make a
point.
conversation and you need to make a stance as a company to
Yeah.
decide where your brand is standing. So
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I see Cheryl posted that midterms in
Are
maybe
coming.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
this
a good
was,
point too.
Yep.
influence the midterms. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Something, you know, this
Something
won't
would
just
happen.
go away, right? This isn't going to just go away.
Oh, it's not.
And, yeah, so
More to
stay
come.
tuned, I guess. Yeah, more
Yeah.
to
More to come. We'll be
More to
talking
come.
about this.
Definitely.
Definitely
of
be
that.
talking about this.
Yeah. Our next segment. So it's called Rip from the Headlines. And I'm going to kick it off to the beautiful Barika to start us off.
Awesome. So this week, I went a little international. So I found that in February, Adidas kicked off this wonderful campaign where they basically wanted to share with everyone 25 images of bare breasts in a grid format. Their faces and their lower bodies were cropped out, and they shared it on Twitter with the caption, "We believe women's breasts in all shapes and sizes deserve support and comfort, which is why our new sports bra range contains 43 styles, so everyone can find the right fit for them." And they also shared a similar post where the nipples were all blurred out. Well, Wednesday, literally yesterday, the UK Advertising Standards Authority basically announced that they had received 24 complaints about the ads. Adidas is no longer allowed to display these ads on Twitter. They ruled that the images breached UK advertising codes related to harm and offense, as well as just general social responsibility. But, you know, in Adidas's defense, they actually felt that it was just designed, it was a creative that was designed to showcase how diverse breasts are, featuring different shapes and sizes, and highlight, you know, why tailored support is paramount. Now, in a brand rewind, I do have to say that I understand that, you know, highlighting the differences and why you would want to have such a range of styles and support for all of the different breast types makes complete sense. But come on, guys, like I don't think it was necessary to showcase like 25 different breast styles. I think it's a little overkill. And honestly, if I was doing if I was in this meeting, I would have been like, no, let's not do this. There are other ways to showcase the differences and the diversity of women, and breasts is not necessarily the way that I don't think it's going to make the most impactful statement. But we are talking about this right now.
And I was going to say the same thing because I hadn't heard this story at all, but because we're talking about it because of the controversy that has, you know, come about from it, people now are going to want to try to find it.
Of course, it's just going to get more attention. I mean,
yeah.
And isn't that what usually happens? I mean, it just does.
I mean, I know that, you know, all press is good press in some ideologies, but I don't necessarily know that this is like a step in the right direction, especially when you're trying to showcase the diversity of things. I like showcasing, like there are other ways to do it.
Take a screenshot, for example.
What'd you say, Zoe?
Take our screenshot, for example.
Exactly.
Hello.
To ask.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, not funny, funny, but interesting. We were talking about the Supreme Court and you know what this says about that brand. This when it comes to Adidas, I mean, it's a huge company. I mean, I used to work there many years ago. It's a huge company. They can withstand something like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, because, you know, they do. But what's interesting is internally, and I remember, you know, years ago when I worked in the sports industry and I worked with a lot of athletes, what would happen if there was any controversy about an ad, because I worked in the PR marketing department, if there was any controversy about the ad, we would get a phone call in the PR department and say, hey, what kind of press or what kind of, you know, internal or external discussion could this generate? Could this be bad or good? I don't know if that, it's interesting whether those conversations happened there. Did anybody give them some thoughts about what could come about from an ad like this? And maybe they did, and they were like, oh, we'll take it. We'll take the risk. I don't know.
Well, I'm just interested in the implications of how that's going to affect. Like, so that was in the UK. How is that going to affect the U.S.? Because they're running the same campaign here. So, like, is there a chance? Like, are there any advertising authorities here that could potentially strike down the campaign here and ban them from showcasing these women's breasts in the U.S.?
If it's on social media, right? There's no overarching body. It's with whoever the head of Twitter, and that's a whole discussion, right?
Oh boy,
yeah. Right? They're trying to stop, right? They're trying to stop us from buying Twitter. So if it's only on social media, there's going to be an individual decision per social media
channel. Yeah, I agree with that. So I am now going to say, I'm going to kick this over to Patia. And what do you have for us?
Yes. So last Thursday, the internet was abuzz because the untimely death of Kevin Samuels, who was a 57-year-old YouTube personality and image consultant, that's what he described himself as, died. Had a very, vibrant life. The week before, he was doing one of his sessions, and then apparently he just dropped dead. So over the years, he had amassed a following of 1.4 million, you guys, YouTube followers, and he would have frequent discussions on dating and relationships. Many of his views were considered radical and an attack on Black women, and his last session, which he recorded a week before he died, was no different. So let's take a look at his last recording.
Ladies, if you are over the age of 35, in the United States of America, that officially makes you a leftover woman. Danger zone. 27 to 35 is the danger zone. That's when you need to focus like a laser on the outcomes you want. But if you have made it to 35 years old and you're unmarried, you are a leftover woman. A leftover woman. You are what is left. Men know that there's something likely wrong with you.
Okay, so that is just 36 seconds. Imagine listening to him for an hour or more, right?
Oh my God.
So my exposure to him is anecdotal. Usually it's because, somebody watched one of his shows and they would send me a clip. And when you watch it, it's usually him either being rude, cutting somebody off, or just being given sometimes good advice. I have to tell you that a lot of the points that he made, he was spot on, but the delivery always seems so cruel to me. So I just refuse to pay attention to him outside of people saying, oh my God, did you see this? Did you see that? Right.
Well, hey, Pratia, let me ask you, I'm sorry to interrupt. What, just because I don't know this guy, what is an example of something he said that was spot on? I'm just curious.
So just sometimes with the expectations that some women may have in terms of the spouse that they're looking for. I mean, everybody wants to marry a millionaire. Everybody wants to live in it's just not realistic. So things like that, if you could get past the delivery, he actually had some valid points. And he also, I have come to learn over the past couple of days, sometimes he would have these same discussions with men, but it was predominantly women, like men doing what they should do, whatever, that sort of thing. So, we can have a discussion about him for hours on end because there's so much content. If you just Google his name, so much you can find. But I just wanted to focus on three things. Whenever I would watch one of his videos, I would say to myself, how did he get here? Why is he so mean? That saying, hurt people hurt people. Like, I always felt that way. Like, fine, you want to make a point, but why must you be so cruel sometimes these women were actually asking his advice on topics, and he would just shoot them down, tell them to shut up, whatever. Like, to me, that was never necessary. Like, what made this person so mean? That's the first thing. The second thing is, we talk a lot about personal branding on this show. And so you heard his comments about leftover women and something's wrong with you if you're not married at 35 and all of this stuff. But, people like him, you always have to raise your eyebrows because their lives never really reflect what they're preaching. And so here he was in his mid-50s with 2 divorces, not one, 2 divorces under his belt. And he was, we can say, a leftover man as well. And yet he I'm sorry, not to speak ill of the dead, but, if a woman at 30 after 35 is a leftover woman because she isn't married, then what are you at 57 with 2 divorces? Like, I'm sorry, so, and, that was just part of his personal brand. There was a lot of contradictions and all of that going on. And then lastly, if, there's a saying that, your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. But what is your legacy? He's no longer here.
Yeah.
And if you were to, Google his name or look on Twitter, 90% of what's being said about him is not nice.
Nope.
So that is his legacy, right? Yeah. Good points, well-intentioned, whatever his situation was. His mother had to find out that he died through social media, reading all of these nasty comments, right? Imagine how she feels. He has a daughter, I think, that's in her early 20s, who now has to see all of these horrible... I mean, there's some people that are rejoicing that he's dead, which I don't agree with. This is a loss to his family. But I mean, the way he lived his life, like, this is the end result. And I found one tweet that I think really illustrates what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to read it because I don't want to mess it up. And this person is saying, all I can say about Kevin Samuels is, if you spend your time disrespecting people in life, don't be surprised at people disrespecting you in death. No matter how cruel it may seem, the legacy you leave behind will be known by the fruit you bore while you were here. I think that's like perfect.
That is a perfect summation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So, I mean, hopefully he's resting in peace, but I think this is a cautionary tale to us all, right? In terms of how we're living our lives, because when we're no longer here, and with social media, right? It's not just like these conversations are going to keep going on, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Doesn't go away.
Right. Is this what you want to be remembered?
There's a comment here from Altia. I hope I'm saying that right. That Samuels had less than $1,000 in his account.
Yes, I read that as well. Yes.
Wow.
I read that as well. And that is not what he preached at all. So
yeah,
you never really know, right?
I mean, then that's why you have to be careful, like who you follow, like these millions of followers that he had, like you don't know what their life looks like on the back end.
Exactly.
So, take everything with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. Okay, so Denise, what do you have for us this week?
I tell you, I saw this story and I thought, wow. And again, reading, you never really know. So read the headlines. And the headline, I'm going to tell you the story in a second. Reading the headline says one thing, but then reading the article says something else. So if you are into sports and football, which I am, then you probably know this name, retired quarterback, NFL quarterback, Brett Favre. He is being sued by the state of Mississippi, the Department of Human Resources, for spending welfare funds. So imagine that headline with this world famous quarterback who obviously had a great career before he retired. Well, not obviously, but who had a great career when he retired, for welfare misspending. The article has been on ESPN, Yahoo Sports, CBS Sports, NPR, Washington Post, SI.com, among others. So here's the deal. So those are all the headlines. When I started reading it, I thought, okay, what is happening here? Apparently, back in 2020, Brett Favre, with his company, received $2.1 million, $1 million. But the state of Mississippi is suing to get back $20 million from 38 people. I believe it's 38 people who got money from this account, this welfare account. Brett Favre did say that he repaid the money, most of the money. He said he did repay it, but he still owes $228,000. They're saying that Favre has not been charged with any criminal wrongdoing, but it's the optics, right? It's the optics that he got this money from his welfare fund. And it's a big story. So Google it, which is what I saw the headline. So let me read more about it. But he did a Facebook post, which is kind of interesting when something like this happens. I don't know why people who go to Facebook with this, but he did say that he repaid the first $500,000. He said he did not know that the money came from welfare funds. He posted on Facebook. He did not know that's where the money came from. And he did go on to say that his charity has provided millions of dollars to poor children in Mississippi and in Wisconsin. So it's about his two companies together got this money. And so Mississippi is saying that they want their money back. And again, he's one of, I want to say 38 people who received this money, and Mississippi is saying, hey, give me the money back. And he's saying he did not know it came from welfare funds. But anyway, it's just the optics of that and the headlines. I mean, all the headlines are similar. Mississippi Department of Human Resources sues Brett Favre and others over welfare spending. Okay, not a good brand to have, especially when you're retiring as this great NFL quarterback. And now you've got this thing. He lives in Mississippi, and apparently his company's doing all this great stuff. But then you have this happen, which tarnishes his brand quite a bit.
I think this is the similar situation around branding when we're thinking about the Supreme Court. How does the money even leave the state to get into the hands of? So where's the checks and balances there?
Exactly.
Right. I mean, it's a similar situation, and that, of course, his brand as well. A big question mark.
Yeah, $2.2 million combined from Favre and his company called Favre Enterprises. By the way, the last thing I'll say on this, I know we're running late on time, is that when Mississippi, and I read this in one of the articles, went to go call his company, it said the number was disconnected.
Oh boy, here we go. That's just a final straw right there.
Right, exactly. Like that automatically rules it out.
That's
It's crazy.
Wave the flag. Hello.
I'm done. That's it.
All right, Zoe, what you got?
So I'm going to give a quick one. This one is a moment to celebrate. So U.S. President Biden announced last week that Karine Jean-Pierre is the next press secretary. So there's a few highlights here that I thought was really cool. Yes, she's the first Black woman to hold the press secretary position, but she's actually the second Black woman in history to do press briefing at the Washington Monumental, because the first is Judy Smith. And the cool part here is that Judy's job is the basis or the inspiration behind the TV series Scandal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't know that. It's very cool.
That is cool.
I mean, a lot of people are talking about Karine Jean-Pierre because of her background and her connections to other media outlets, but she's been in the position for a while now. She's done deputy press secretary. She's been senior advisor to the President Biden's campaign. She's chief of staff at one point for Vice President Harris's camp as well. She's also Haitian American. So a lot of people don't talk about that, but what they are talking about is her status as an LGBT proud Black woman. So I think just taking away her credit where credit is due. It's the same thing that unfortunately was happening to Ketanji Brown Jackson in her campaign. But it's lovely to see all of her intersections and how she shows up in the world and standing strong in her brand. So congratulations and kudos to her.
Congratulations. Yes.
Yes.
So our next segment, The More We Know, we literally have about 1 minute left to squeeze out a question from the audience.
Yeah, I see one. I see one. Pop research as a marginalized professional. How can I up-level my career, like the new White House press secretary, Karine Pierre, has done? So we don't have time to answer that in as much detail as you would like. I would say, reach out, find me, shoot me a note. Because that's what I do, MDK Brand Management. We do career coaching. So I'm happy to have an offline side conversation with you about that. And I thank you for asking the question, because not enough people ask that specific question. So that is awesome that you're doing that.
One of the things I'd throw in there is about emotional intelligence. To make sure that you're self-aware.
Yes.
Mm,
80. In
Very,
fact,
very
on that
important.
note, you know, Zoe, something like, and I'm not going to get the stat exactly right, but something like 85% of people who reach the C-suite and above, which as you guys know, my background, I was a former C-suite. I am a former C-suite executive. 80-something% of people who reach a certain point in their careers have that self-awareness.
Yeah.
Have to.
Because you absolutely have to. So yeah, self-awareness is key.
mm,
It's 7:30, so we're gonna sign off. Please remember to join
Yay.
us in what's the next May
26.
20,
It'll be on the 26th.
Yep.
26, 2 weeks, May 26th at 7 p.m. right here, Brand Rewind Live. Again, sign up at brandrewind.com for the newsletter and for the reminder.
Absolutely. Don't forget
yeah.
to follow us, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram.
And if you know
Absolutely.
anyone that needs a Brand Rewind, shoot us an email at brandrewind@gmail.com.
Great seeing
Absolutely.
you.
Yes, thanks
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank you, bye.
Thanks for being here.